Welcome to Exposing the Hidden Reality. Sandra and I are very excited to bring you an episode with our dear friend, Jenn Prochaska. She's a message strategist, and we talk a lot in this episode about AI. And if you are joining us from episode 39, where we finished our conversation about LinkedIn, I referenced a checklist that I forgot to include. So if you join our email list at exposingthehiddenreality.com. We will be sure to send you our checklist, complete with AI prompts and all, and on to the show because you're going to love this conversation with
She's
Jenn.
awesome.
She's so great.
Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Jenn Prochaska. I'm a message strategist and copywriter. My company is called The Right Difference, WRITE, where we help entrepreneurs, solopreneurs at every level empower their business through messaging.
Jenn, you were saying that as a copywriter, you're really feeling the AI impact. Could you talk a little
Oh,
bit about that?
yeah, 100%. And it took a little while for me to feel it, quite frankly. I mean, 2025 was a great year for me in many respects. I mean, certainly business revenue and consistent. It was the first year I've been in business since 2018, and it was the first year that I didn't have any dips. There were no lulls. I even turned away some smaller projects. So it was really nice. And then Q1 of this year, 2026, it was like crickets. And it was welcome for 4 to 6 weeks because I had some things that I wanted to spin up and to do and to get going. And now it's to the point where it's not a welcome break anymore. And every time I talk to somebody in my space, and I mean the marketing space, not just the writing space, their response is, "Oh, I thought it was just me." And I'm like, which is one of the reasons why I just tend to be a transparent person to begin with, because I'm like, I think we need to know that it's not just us. And if it is, then help me figure it out what I'm doing wrong. But yeah, people are using AI for all of their content. And now I'm hearing they're writing websites with AI. And I'm sorry, but I have a real hard time believing that somebody who isn't a trained website copywriter, which is a niche and a specialty and a science, can use AI effectively.
Yeah. Personally, I find that it's a good first draft.
It
It's a
can be. I mean, if you don't want to look at a blank page, yeah, sure. But even then, we were
what I
talking
meant.
off.
Yes, but what I meant was it's a good way to kind of get some quick thoughts on a piece of paper in a structured way. But I
Yeah.
found myself editing it to pieces.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about, in particular, a website, first of all, social media posts are pretty easy to spot, especially because if you've followed anybody on social media, they've created a voice. That's why you're following them. And then it's like, "Er," all of a sudden the short, choppy sentences, "Here's the truth, colon," comes out. I'm like, well, that's AI. Listen, comma, that's AI, whatever. But on a website, there really is a science proven to how people read on websites, how they digest websites, and people don't come in through your homepage because of search engines. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it.
Yes.
So where I mean, certainly my revenue has taken a hit, and that is one aspect. But from a heart level, at the risk of being cliche, or soul level, the reason why my prices are where they're at and the reason why I network with the people that I do, the women that I do, is because what I want is to empower women, Black and Brown people, members of the LGBT community, and allies in their business, right? I want them to succeed. I mean, I have a web package specifically designed for the people who are a little bit past the DIY stage, but not ready for full on branding stage. They're right in the middle because I know that they're not going to get to that next tier without a website that's selling for them. Now, if they're going to DIY that, thinking that AI is actually leveling up, it's just going to broaden the length of time before that person is going to make money and be successful. And
Yeah.
the reason why marginalized communities are very much my focus is because in order to have a say in this world, we need to have money. And in order to make money, we need to have good marketing and efficient marketing, meaning the best bang for our buck. And an AI written website at this stage This may not age well in 6 months, but at this stage is just not it unless you know what to input.
And that, I think, is the biggest problem. AI can be effective at pumping out information quickly, but you got to know what to ask in the first place. And it's not that straightforward. Speaking personally from the mental health space, right? There's so much conversation. And even you and I, Jenn, were at that conference, Tennis in the Land, last summer, right? And somebody mentioned you can get mental health support on AI. Well, yeah, but that's only if you know what to ask, right? I mean, the power that comes from sitting with somebody that and that you're having a relationship with, and through which there's a relational field, is that you can expose those hidden biases, those things that somebody is not aware of. What you tell me in looking at my marketing copy informs where I have visibility issues, or where I feel discomfort and where I feel exposed. And I don't want to say those things. And that creates an opportunity for you and I to have a conversation around, gee, Sandra, why does that feel uncomfortable for you? Because I see that in you. Why don't you see that in yourself? AI is never going to prompt you for those questions because there is no relational field there.
Absolutely. And if you saw the Claude commercials from the Super Bowl, and now I just saw an Instagram post where it's like how I answer my husband if I were Chat GPT. I mean, most of the response that you get to your point is not questioning. It's, well, that's a fascinating thought. I agree with you. That does sound like blah, blah, blah. That's the challenge. Even when I, as a professional, write my own website, I get too stuck. I've hired writers. I had somebody do my brand voice. It's very difficult to do it myself. So if I'm just bantering with a bot, we're still in the box, so to speak, right? I need somebody else to go, well, hey, dude, did you know you could open the box from this end too? Oh, no, I didn't. And to your point, marketing for a solopreneur and even for a larger brand, but certainly for the individual small business owner, is a very personal experience. I mean, this is not an easy gig. So there's a reason why we do it, even when the revenue is poor. There's a reason why we get up. There's a reason why we're inspired. And a good creative partner can pull that out and then leverage that. Meanwhile, that person, giving the owner the opportunity, and I know I've gone through this journey for sure, to be comfortable with that visibility, or to your point, that vulnerability. Like, how much do I want to share? Because contrary to popular belief, you don't have to share anything you don't want to. But in marketing, and for a lot of us, the differentiator is us.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah, I'm reading a book right now called The AI Driven Leader, and it's from 2024. And maybe that sounds dated, but what I think it's doing for me is it's reminding me that you only get out what you put into the AI tool. So, Jenn, you said bantering. I don't know that we should be bantering with our AI bot, right? But do you want it to be a partner in helping you think through? Do you want it to play that challenger role where it says, what didn't I think of? If I were this kind of person, if I were looking at it from this kind of lens, what else did I miss? Those are things you can ask it to do. But again, you have to very specifically and very deliberately prompt it. So could it help write a website? Maybe, but only if I'm asking it questions related to, is this reaching this kind of niche? Is this really speaking about XYZ? And then I would still have somebody double check it for me.
Well, and you bring up a really good point, the part about asking it to challenge me. Then all it's going to do is challenge you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like it discerns when to challenge and when not. This is black and white. AI does not think yet. It predicts.
Correct.
So if you want, I mean, I'll definitely put in there, Claude, I need you to poke holes in this. And then it's poking. I'm like, okay, you can stop now. Okay. Whereas I can take the information that I'm given and digest it and think. Or contact one of you, I need your thoughts around this, right? I need a fresh eyes. I need, whether it's an ideal client's perspective or another professional's perspective. And there's a point. I mean, I don't just bring another copyright. When I do brand messaging for somebody, I talk to their customers, I talk to their clients. Can I get some of that from AI? Here's where AI is fantastic. So message mining is when you go out and you look for people who potentially need somebody's services or products. And we do that to say, well, how are they talking about solutions? How are they talking about their problem, right? Because we could use the word happy and they're using the word giddy. So we'll want to use the word giddy. We'll want to mirror their language from an empathy point. We can also pick up, hey, we think they're looking for this package when really they're looking for that. Okay, great. So it's a fantastic source of information. It's market research. I mean, big brands have been doing this, focus groups, right? Have been doing this for decades. We can do it for the solopreneur as well. It used to be back in the day, back in the day, I'm talking like 6 months ago, I would literally go on Reddit. Honestly, I'd do it in a bubble bath and I'd get on my phone and I'd be on Reddit for hours just looking. And I do love that because it's like an actor's mindset. I get into the mindset of the ideal client. But now I can go on to, I have a couple of tools that I can say, hey, I have a whole prompt. This is the person I'm looking for. Go to these Reddit threads. I can say, hey, what threads should I go to? And then I can say, go to those threads, give it to me in a chart. Here's what I want to know. At the same time, then I always have to include the line, and this should be a giant red flag. Don't make anything up. I want a link to the thread. But even in
Don't
that,
make anything up?
Oh, it makes stuff up all the time. Claude admitted that. You're right, Jen. I totally from a transcript, it made something up. So you always, every prompt I give, don't make it. If I'm doing research, do not fabricate anything. I want real news. And even then, the challenge is, so I just did this with a client. It gave me these Reddit threads. So I would click on it. The post in Reddit was an AI generated post. So I still have to go in there and be like, well, that's not going to help me. Right. So there's still a human aspect. Now, a very good argument could be made. Would I be more efficient just sitting on my phone in the bubble bath, going through the Reddit threads like I used to? Because at least then it's in my brain. Right. So there's definitely a balance between efficiency, automation, and accuracy. The caveat to that is that the tools that you and I are talking about are the ones that anybody can access. There are developer tools that I know people who are really engineering and advancing these bots to a level that I'm just not familiar with. So, but the average user is not going to use OpenClaw just yet, although that could be in a month, we could all be open clawing it, I don't know.
Next. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Annette, what do you see from a career coaching perspective and both internally from the perspective of using AI when they're interviewing or trying to figure out who to interview or going through resumes, and as a someone who helps people build resumes, what are you seeing with respect to AI?
So as a resume developer, can I call myself that? I don't know. As somebody that has written resumes as part of my full-time job for the last 7 years, I think that using AI has been a great, great tool. And Jen is right. It's a predictor. So it is amazing at looking at the job description that the candidate's applying for and then echoing back what I need to see out of it. But I still do verify. So like throwing the ideal job in ChatGPT or Claude or whatever it is that you're using, and then giving it the prompt that this is what I'm looking for from it. And here's how I want it back. Right? Because if I don't prompt it, sometimes it gives me like a bulleted list and then I can't use a bulleted list. And then I'm typing it out anyways. And then I'm mad for not asking for it, But in that sense, it's been great. But I've also been almost full-time training my particular bot now for nearly 2 years. If you just start your bot interactions today and like, help me with it's a disaster. And then the other piece is from the perspective of hiring, it has been not so good. So Sandra, there was an article, I think in October of 2025 from Business Insider, and they were talking about Greenhouse. They actually got somebody in-house at Greenhouse. That's a lot of houses. Talking about it. Greenhouse is an applicant tracking system. And two statistics stood out to me. For every one recruiter, there's 500 active applicants. What? No wonder the recruiters can't get to you. No wonder you're being quote unquote ghosted. And then the second piece that was in that article is that there, for any one job posting, there's at least 248 applicants. So your chances of being hired for any one job just by online posting is 0.4%. Crap. You might as well not apply for that job. You might as well sit in your basement all day. And recruiters are echoing that back to me. There's so many candidates, there's so much junk, there's so many AI tools that say they'll apply for you. And then what ends up happening is it's just a bunch of hooey that's in the applicant tracking system. And then the recruiters, internal and external, have to go out to old school recruiter methods and find the best candidate. Also, you originally asked me about resumes. I can say that resumes are starting to lose their place in the job search. They're not as strong. People feel like they're manufactured. They're not sure how much of it is the truth. And I see a lot of articles and thought leadership on that you won't need a resume anymore.
What will replace it?
Skills-based hiring is the next best thing that I keep hearing about. So skills-based hiring means that you have the skills, you have these 3 trifecta skills, and anybody that has those listed on their LinkedIn profile or on their resume will get the phone call. So yeah, I don't know that we're like exactly at a total skill-based hiring, but for example, if you have like Salesforce experience and this and that, then maybe you'd get a phone call.
And this, I think, really echoes what Jenn was talking about with respect to copywriting, right? Because having the skills is the easy part. It's the people part. Can you do, like, how are you at communicating? How are you at relating to others? How is your working relationship with others? The intangible aspects of who you are as a candidate, those are the harder things to hire for. I can always train you on how to do Salesforce. I can train you on Word. Oh, look at that. I was about to say Word Perfect. There's a
That is
dating thing.
Hashtag keeping it real.
Is that a Freudian slip or something
Oh
else?
my gosh, I'm telling you, that's a great way to like date yourself.
Word
Um,
perfect.
Oh my God. I have not thought of that in what, 30 years?
My Wayback Machine doesn't even know where to take that to. Yeah.
It
I
still
remember
exists,
when,
FYI. I just Googled it. It still exists.
yes, yes. hmm
Anyway,
I know. So my point being that this is not unlike the conversation that Jen is having with us, right? It's the person behind the information
Well,
that
and that
is,
is the differentiator in a job search.
yeah,
And I agree that it's very equal to Jen's, but the differentiator in a job search is how do you get outside of the applicant tracking system box? And you
yeah,
do that through people, through relationships, through introductions, referrals, recommendations. That is the differentiator. And that is working for people in this ridiculous job market. So similar to Jen's statement, that you have to put the voice. Like when Jen was working on my website with me, she's like, that's not how you really talk. I hate that paragraph. Change it. And so I did. I'm like, okay, I'm going to change it. But without her, now, was it all true information? Yes. Was it really formal and not very me? Also, yes. So getting somebody that will look you in the eye and say, it's good, but it's not you,
yes,
is very true. And then the same thing for a job search. This resume is good, but you have to get in front of them so that they'll read it. Also true.
so true, so true. And I love how Jen will say, That's not what you want to say. And then she'll immediately back off from that. And I'm like, well, I mean, you can do whatever you want, or you can say it any way you want to say it. But I'm just telling you, that is not a good thing.
Because it's so funny because I feel like, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, the word authenticity was getting a bad rap, right? Because everybody was coming out as authentic. And then as soon as AI hit, like it didn't take 12 whole months before we're talking about authenticity again.
Yeah.
And I'm here for that all day long. Because again, I mean, the three of us are business owners, right? And the three of us do things that other people do. Like none of us are so different in what we do that we don't have competition. And that's great. There's work for everybody because people need to relate to each one of us on the level that they're going to relate to us. I mean, I have had meetings with people or discussions with people, and you can tell when someone's not that into you or they're not following you, right? I do tend to be direct out of love, and I can speak fast, and sometimes I give you more information than you need to know. And if that overwhelms somebody, I mean, I will certainly try to adjust, but I'm not the copywriter for you. And I have had that happen. And I have plenty of copywriters that I'm more than happy to make an introduction to. That's the human element,
Yes.
right? Ideally, you want a partner in this,
Yes.
like in marketing for sure. And certainly on a career path, because you're always saying, Annette, it's not just a job. This is a career. This is a journey. It's your whole life.
Yeah.
And life coaching, I mean, by definition, is as seasons change. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, long-term relationships are, I think, almost always the ideal for both us and our clients, because then they're not reinventing the wheel. They're not repeating themselves.
For the field that I work in, whether we call it mental health, whether we call it life coaching, whether we call it something else, spiritual coaching. The whole point is it has to be based in trust, and you can't build trust if you're projecting something that you're not, right? I am not going to be the right person for many people, but for many others, I am the right person. So it's not just about finding clients, it's about finding the clients that are right for me. And the only way that I'm going to do that is if I speak from who I am, from my point of integrity, and in the voice that most resonates for the message that I have. And the people who are meant to hear that message will hear me. And I loved the work, Jenn, that you and I did when we were doing my brand voice, around finding the words, right? And even just, there was a question you asked me about sensationalism and whether I felt comfortable making people uncomfortable, or whether I felt comfortable with setting timelines. And I was like, no, people know. I don't want to apply false pressure. They will know when the timing is right and when they're ready to do that work, which is always why I feel so uncomfortable with CTAs.
Yeah, for sure. And in marketing, I find myself saying this a lot. Marketing takes time. Building a business takes time. Building a brand takes time. The first, I don't know, year or so, you're evolving, you're experimenting, right? Especially for those of us who found themselves suddenly unemployed. Like, certainly those people who are more intentional about starting their business may have less evolving to do, but some of us are like sink or swim. And I think that's where I really worry about the use of AI, because so many, especially women entrepreneurs, and I say that I think because I'm mostly in those spaces with other women entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, you know, they're taking care of others in whatever capacity that is, and they're taking care of the home or whatever that means for them. They're doing more than the average pair, which we know statistically. So marketing, quote unquote, this big bad marketing becomes a burden, when really all marketing is communication. And you have something that improves the lives of others, and marketing is simply telling them about it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like content creation doesn't get heavy after a while, because it does, especially because effective marketing is repetition, right? So on one side, I think AI is detrimental because people are saying, I got my social post done. It's a box that they're checking as opposed to an opportunity to really reach somebody. Now, where AI can really help is on the automation side. Okay, how about you create 30 posts and then automate them so they rinse and repeat? If you look at the big accounts, like really look at some of these accounts, they are repeating posts way more than we would think they are. I've had my onboarding system automated to the point where I don't need a virtual assistant. Once somebody signs up with me, boom, emails start going. Even voice of customer meetings get scheduled without me ever touching anything. Documents just appear in my Google Drive. So there is a benefit to the AI. I think for the most part, we've been talking about AI producing copy, but the automation side of AI can really be helpful for the solopreneur, and can help, especially the female solopreneur who's already got all these other things going on, make some of their admin stuff way more efficient. So on that side of things, I think it's a positive. It's the content production that I think it needs to be more of a marriage or a blend of you and who you are and
Yes.
this tool.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess it's not all bad. Although, as usual, as I'm saying something, the argument is coming into my head. He said, I don't need a virtual assistant. So there's a human that I just didn't hire. I used to have one, and now I don't need to hire that human,
So it's
which is the age old argument, right? We've been having that discussion since the Industrial Revolution. Sure.
yes. A couple of things I want to jump in on that you
Do
just
it.
said. The first one is, as you were talking, I was thinking, yeah, I've done so much coding to automate stuff, right? And I didn't need to hire a coder to do that for me, right? I just said, hey, how do I get this changed? And it pops out with some JavaScript nonsense that I have no idea what it says, but look at that. It fixed my problem, right? So, yes. Absolutely. As you were saying that, I was thinking, yeah, I don't need a coder anymore. And then you said, look, there's another human we stopped. And I'm like, yeah, I was just coming to that same realization, right? So AI is absolutely changing the way we evolve. And the way that our businesses evolve. And as a result, it's impacting all of us. There was a great article, a great Substack article that was sent by my kids' high school to us, all around the changing landscape of AI and how it is going to change industries and businesses and whatever. And what they pointed to was every technical revolution has done that. They talked about when cars came into play, right? There was a whole industry around horse and carriage and farriers and carriage drivers and all those people who suddenly found themselves without a job because we now had automobiles. But nobody would say, let's go back to a time when we don't have automobiles.
Yes. Yeah, and a smartphone.
Yeah.
I think they even aligned an entire generation demographic around when smartphones were. Like, my children are 11 and 7. They don't know what it's like not to have an AI overview. My 7-year-old asked for AI so she can make images. And I was like, no. I mean, and the other side of this, which is also it's true with the Industrial Revolution and certainly for cars, is the environmental impact. We're all here on the Great Lakes, the largest source of fresh water. So in the back of my mind, there's that too. These data centers are popping up and states are looking to ban them and welcome them. And there's a massive change that I do believe we will work through. Even some of the most detrimental environmental occurrences, their innovations come out of it, right? The bacteria that eat plastic or whatever. So yeah, I think as a species, we'll be okay for sure. In the immediate future, you have my revenue to worry about.
Yes.
I have your revenue to worry about. As a marketer, I try to tell my clients, how do we navigate this? First of all, how do you feel? Do you want to use AI? Do you not want to use AI? Are you comfortable? Have you been innovating? I launched a DIY side of my business where I can help teach solopreneurs tried and true marketing so that they're not taken by scammers and influencers. because so many people came up to me with these awful stories. And SEO is always one that our mutual friend talks about, because these SEO people scam all the time, unfortunately. And I was like, I'm a little disheartened. Like, here I am launching this. I'm going to save all the DIYers out there, and now they're all using AI. And what came back was, whoa, we need you now more than ever.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not the science so much of the wording, but maybe it's more of how do buyers think? What is the psychology behind when somebody buys and when they don't, right? And all of that is, I would argue, as much art as it is science, because human beings are not predictable. I talk about the 5 stages of awareness, things like that. There's still opportunity for all of us. I think, at least for me, I've just in the last 48 hours, I really had to sit back and open my mind a little bit to, okay, all the stuff that I take for granted, that's the stuff that I need to teach.
This is only the beginning of the conversation about AI. Join us next week when we talk a little bit more about how we're expanding our thoughts on artificial intelligence and what it can do in the world. Jenn, how can our listeners get in contact with you?
I am most active on LinkedIn. You can search for my name, 2 N's, Jenn Prochaska, and Instagram. And then on Instagram, I'm at The Right Difference.
See you next week.
Absolutely.